Hi everybody, my name is Simber and welcome back to my channel. In case you don't know, I am a guaipo in Hong Kong and this is part 4 of my trip to Europe. And as you can see, this isn't my usual backdrop and my usual type of clothes I would normally wear in front of the camera. That is because I am back home for Thanksgiving at my small town of Clinton, Indiana. Right now I am currently staying at my parents' house, just enjoying a little vacation and enjoying some good family time. Okay, back to the topic of the video. Alright, as I said before, this is part 4 of our trip to Europe, and in this video I'll be reflecting our trip to Modena, Venice, and Tirano. And if I'm butchering those names, please let me know. And during this reflection, I'll be giving you, of course, the travel tips and the do's and don'ts. And I need to first point out that this video is not sponsored whatsoever. This is solely based on Michael's careful planning and his research. So, thanks, honey. So, as I spoke in the last video, we walked back to the train station in Florence the next morning to take the train to Modena. We went to Modena to view the Ferrari Museum. You gotta pronounce all 3 of the R's according to the Italians. And if you're a car guy like my Michael here, you will love this museum. They even have the very first Ferrari in there. We weren't able to see the second museum in Maranello. And again, if I'm butchering the town name, please correct me. I apologize. Alright, back to this. We weren't able to go to the museum in Maranello due to time restrictions. There are 2 ways to get to the museum in Modena from the Modena train station. The first way is the longest way, and it's by taking the bus. It's about 9-minute bus ride from the train station to the museum. However, you don't know when it will arrive to the train station. The second way is by walking, which is 9 minutes. So take your pick. You want to wait for a bus, or do you just want to get there? Michael's pretty excited about going to such a museum, so obviously he can't contain it in the wait, so we walked. Now the museum in Modena provides transportation from their museum to the other museum. Also, you can purchase tickets for both places for a better price, but if you're like us and time constricts you, I'm sorry, so you won't get that better price. But if you're able to, I would highly recommend going to both museums. There's also a Maserati museum in Modena, but it's closed on Sundays. And as far as food goes, Modena is best known for its Tuscany food, which is pasta and vinaigrette. Again, if I'm saying it wrong, please correct me. Now, when you think of Venice, people tend to think of the canals and the gondolas. If you have all day to kill and staying the night in Venice, then you should definitely take the gondola for experience. The water taxi is the fastest and it's 60 euros for the whole party. The ferry charged 750 euros per person. It's the lowest, but it's also the slowest. Take your pick. But while we were in Venice, we were able to get some gelato, and it was really good. What did you think?
Huh.
Yeah. How would you describe it?
It's creamy.
Yeah. I felt like it was creamy too. Like, it was less sugary as opposed to like the ice cream in the States.
Better ice cream.
Definitely. It was really good. So if you're able to, go to Italy, I would definitely recommend getting some gelato. It's worth the price. Alright, so speaking of food, on the way to Venice from Modena, we stopped in Bologna. Again, names, correct me. Stopped at Bologna to pick up our lunch, and they had different style of when it came to their pastas. I can't really explain like how different it is, other than there was more emphasis on the cheese than the tomato. Some of the pastas had bacon and eggs in them, but it was just so good. As I said in the previous video, it's definitely different from like the typical pastas that you would get in maybe like Little Italy. So it was really delicious, and it's worth trying in my opinion. Alright, so another thing about Venice that I should also mention is that there's not as many attractions in Venice as there are in Rome, but they still have a unique charm. So like that's why I said you don't really need to stay for several days. You maybe need to stay like a day and maybe like a night there. 2 days and a night if you want to have that full like culture and attraction experience. But I don't recommend staying like a week there. So after finishing with Venice, we quickly walked back to grab things from Stow Your Bags. And this was close to the train station, about 10 minutes walk. And then we got to the train and started heading towards Tirano for our adventure the next day. On the way to Tirano, we had to get off at Milan for the connecting train to Tirano. We had 20 minutes until our next train, so like on the way to Milan, I ordered food and had it delivered there ahead of time. But our train was late, and I made the mistake of walking out of the train area thinking the delivery guy was still there. He wasn't though. I looked at the clock and I felt the need to go back inside the train area because I didn't want us to be late for the train. And I was stopped by one of the workers at the train station, and he asked to see my ticket. I was scared because it was on Michael's phone and I did have it, but I didn't know where it was on his phone. Luckily though, my knight in shining armor came to rescue the day of my silly mistake. So, I mean, he was worried about me, so he came to check on me. But we got in, we made it for the connecting train. It was smooth sailing from there.
Yeah, just make sure you tell them Milan is a frequent occurrence.
Okay, so what Michael is saying just now is trains going towards Milan are typically late, and it's pretty reoccurring. So if you have to take a connecting train in Milan, just expect your train going there is going to be a little late. So please plan accordingly with the train tickets and such. Alright, so moral of the story. Don't leave the train area unless you know where the tickets are. Also, I don't recommend leaving unless you know for sure you have plenty of time, which is like 25 or more minutes. Just don't push it because I didn't know if I was able to get inside, and I wouldn't want that on anyone else. So just be safe, be smart, and just be responsible with your time. As far as Tirano, I personally enjoyed this little town. It's very close to the border of Switzerland, but they are very proud Italians. We stayed at an Airbnb before our train ride the next morning, and there's a grocery store like a block away from the Airbnb, and our Airbnb was right by the train stations. It was very convenient Tirano is mainly known for the Modena Express train ride. This is another train that you can take if you're needing to go on connecting trains in Switzerland. There's also a regional train that takes the same route as Modena Express, and it leaves at 7:40 a.m. I wouldn't stay there for like a whole day, but I would recommend getting to Tirano early enough to buy groceries and snacks for the train if you want to save some money. Also, it's hard to go out of the train stations throughout the day because you need to get on your connecting trains. Some trains are like within 4 minutes apart or even like 3 minutes, and it's not something you want to push. I mean, there are like longer time frames, like 15-20 minutes, but do you want to push it? Not really. Try to get food for the next day beforehand. If you can't get to the grocery store early enough in the evening, you can always go to that grocery store at 7 a.m. and the first train leaves at 7:40. If you're planning to go on the trains in Switzerland, including the panorama trains, I highly suggest buying the Swiss Pass. If you plan to spend the majority of your day trip on a train, I urge you to buy the Swiss Pass. The Swiss Pass is cheaper than buying individual tickets in the long run. If you miss one of your trains, the Swiss Pass will work for the next one. I'll go more into the Swiss Pass in my Switzerland video in the next one. Alright, so that was Italy, and I hope that you're able to take what we experienced and the don'ts and the tricks and the tips and put it to your own travel adventures. And please like and subscribe, and we hope to see you in the next one. Bye guys!